Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Yep,
Mr.
we hear you.
Alex, Mr. Garver, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Excellent.
We got this new Zoom look. It looks like if you don't put your camera on, we don't see you, at least on my side. Maybe that's one of my settings.
That's the way it should go.
Exactly, right? You know, we just hate it when they just move our cheese and they just change stuff around. It's very annoying.
Geez, right. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. So how's
So
your vacation going?
good.
Good. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Bahamas?
So, who from is it Cornerstone's turn to talk about the lovely mortgage rates, or is it
It's
is
me,
it
Rob.
Motto?
It's me, Rob.
Yeah, so Brian, why don't you tell us how the election helped mortgage rates?
Helped? All right. Well, good morning, everyone, again. It's been a little rough for mortgage rates moving higher. And this has been going on since September.
Brian, I had to mute everybody so that we could hear you better. So if you could unmute yourself.
Got it. All right. You hear me? Good.
Yep, we hear you loud and clear.
So, like I said, it's been rough recently for mortgage rates ever since the September Fed meeting when they had that big cut of 50 basis points. This week, however, has been exceptionally busy. It's been very stressful. It's very volatile. A lot going on, a lot of uncertainty. Obviously, we had an election on Tuesday, but in addition to that, we also had a Fed meeting. So there was a lot of things that were like this push and pull kind of thing. So leading up to the election, there was a lot of uncertainty as to which political candidate was going to win the White House, and if we had a new administration, how those policies would affect the financial markets. So as it became evident that Trump was going to most likely get elected, it also brought in the concerns of his political agenda, which more specifically was his the tariffs that he wants to implement, and also the tax cuts. So this triggered Treasury yields to surge overnight between Tuesday to Wednesday because of that uncertainty. The Treasury market, if you guys don't know, is an inflationary indicator. So Wednesday, when the financial markets opened, mortgage rates were significantly higher. It was not a good day. This continued on until Thursday when the Treasury yields started to come down because coincidentally we had a Fed meeting. So on Thursday, the Fed cut rates by a quarter. This told the financial markets that the Fed still views that they have inflation under control. So they have this dual mandate of reducing inflation and full employment. They, in their policy statement, which Fed Chair Powell stated on yesterday, Thursday, they still feel that this stuff is under control. So the threat of this new administration and what it's going to bring to the financial markets through the proposed tariffs, tax cuts, and things like that. Don't forget that we're still in this current administration. The new administration is not going to take office for another 2.5 months. So the Fed is viewing this as, okay, well, what's going on right now? That they're still having everything under control. Fed futures are pricing in a 72% chance of another quarter rate cut at the December meeting. Mortgage rates are projected to be in the high fives, low sixes by this time next year. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. So we're going to get through this. Right now, things are elevated. As of right now, market is improving. So we're seeing rates come down a little bit. They're right around high sixes, low sevens. A lot of the first-time homebuyer programs are in the sixes, which is good. So for people that have not owned a home within 3 years, they fall under those categories. In addition to that, I have a couple just minor things to mention. Conforming loan limits were already announced, but we can actually lock and close loans with those new higher loan amounts. So for the standard loan limit across the country, that's 802,000 and change. And for high cost areas, like I know a lot of parts of New Jersey, New York, I know there's a lot of different states on this, Arizona and Florida here, but In New Jersey and New York, you can go up to 1.2 million and change. We are also, Cornerstone is rolling out some proprietary products in December that will offer discounted rates to borrowers who qualify. So we're going to announce that when we're ready. That's a little teaser here. And lastly, for those who will be in Atlantic City, Cornerstone is having a party on Tuesday, December 10th from 4 to 7 at Top Golf, which is in the Ocean Casino. We're going to have food, drinks, music, golf simulators. All are welcome. Stop by and say hello. We're going to get an invite out to everyone.
Well, Brian, thank you. And Brian, do you ever use the site Mortgage News Daily?
All the time. I was funny you should say that. I was thinking yesterday when I was looking through, where the markets are. I think it's something that realtors should download the app because it's going to give you an indication of where things are going. It's free. There's articles that are written. It's going to give you an indication of where things are moving. It's going to give you explanations as far as what's driving rates up and down, how the Fed operates, and why mortgage rates don't come down because the Fed cuts rates. That's widespread, misunderstanding. The regular consumer, the people that we deal with, the home buyer, they think, and I deal with this every day, literally every day. Someone is asking me, with the Fed cut rates, did mortgage rates go down? Or they incorrectly think that, oh, the Fed cut mortgage rates. The Fed doesn't cut mortgage rates, obviously, but Mortgage News Daily is a valuable resource to use. You don't have to be a mortgage rep to obviously view it, but it is very informative.
Yep. So thank you. So if you go on to the, I'm going to steal your thunder for just a second
Yeah.
because I want to just show everybody this. I gotta log on to News Daily. You just go on to Mortgage News Daily. They have this mortgage rate chart here. You go to shows you over time. Where was I at here? The MBS current mortgage rates. Maybe this is it here. So this will give you an idea of where they are and how volatile they've been. I think there's even a shorter time period that you could look at it, but 30-year fixed rate is down a little over 1/8 of a point, just like you said, down to 6.98. So this is an interesting tool to look at, and I don't know, probably an educated customer is a better customer, right?
Yeah, I mean, it may not be exact because this is going to it's going to be a national average, but it's going to give you an indication of where rates are trending. So, again, Wednesday, after it was certain that Trump was going to get elected, it brought into all that uncertainty. So rates went up. That doesn't mean everyone secured rates at that time, because if you just held off a little bit, through the meeting yesterday and to today, rates improved. So it's very stressful, very volatile, but it is something that you can educate yourself about and just to get an idea of where rates are, where the market is moving.
Yep. So thank you, Brian. So, whenever I have time to think, you get one of these sessions like you have here today, which is if everybody just did three things, the politics, the election, the market, nothing really matters. Okay, and if you've been in the business for more than 5 years, you understand exactly what I'm talking about here, because your performance is based upon the development of your skills and the strength of your habits, not on the market condition. Okay, your performance, your outcome is based upon the activities that you do, the skills that you hone.
But also, if you screw up, you're going to blame it on the market.
Well, that's what people who are struggling do. They look to blame others. And I think that's something that happens in life a lot, Netta, right? When it's not working out, you look for a scapegoat.
I
But,
think in real estate, you know, it's always the market. It's the market's fault. If you're wise enough to blame things on the market, if you kind of sort of maybe got things wrong, well, there's always a way to blame it on the market.
yes, maybe this would be a little bit less glare. So, yeah, I don't blame the market. I don't want to change my lifestyle based upon what the market does. I don't think anybody on this call wants to change your lifestyle, and forget about the fact that maybe prices go up, right, with inflation. So maybe our 15 units gets us, 10% higher or 5% higher in sales volume. And if we're talented, we can hold the line on our commission rate. So our compensation goes up by 5 to 15%. To me, that's not what the game's about. The game is about, 3 years in the business, 6 years in the business, we're that much better over time. We're not repeating the first years. In order to accomplish that, there are these three principles that I believe. The first one is, those who are going to continue to grow and separate from the competition have a commitment to learning. Okay. And I've said it on a lot of these masterminds, and I think it was Jack Welch, for those of you who are, a little bit older, you'll understand he used to run General Electric, and I think he said the only sustainable advantage any company can have over time is its ability to learn and adapt quicker than its competition. Okay, the only sustainable advantage you could have is to learn and grow and adapt quicker than your competition. Because if you're the best now and you're complacent, what happens to some of those companies, right? Anybody remember Lucent Technology? Gone, right? You have all these companies that get taken over by.
No,
by.
say, and you says the Zoom.
Let me. Just gonna mute everybody again. If you want to talk, just unmute yourself there, all right? So the only sustainable advantage you have is your ability to learn quicker than others. Ways that I try to stay fresh is, studying the market. I have a genuine interest in, helping others and trying to figure out maybe some better alternatives without having to do all trial and error. Books, seminars, YouTube teaching. I know that there were a lot of agents that I've worked with that have probably had their breakthroughs going to an R4 or to a Tom Ferry or a Mike Ferry event, right? A 2 or 3 day seminar, and you have a major breakthrough. Has anybody here kind of felt like they had a pivot point when you went to an educational event with other peers? I see Ron shaking his head. Those are the things I think that really separate you, and that the market's not going to control your destiny or this business, or the market's not going to control your client. Yeah, Tony Robbins is another great one. Tony Robbins is a lot more generic. You can conquer the world. And I think some of these industry ones, they really give you, practical exposure to people who are, in positions where we maybe want to be. And another thing that, comes to mind in terms of learning is, if we're not honing our skills and practicing and role playing and, thinking and preparing, more than we're doing, we're gonna miss on some great opportunities, or we're going to compromise our ability to serve our clients because we haven't been prepared to the highest extent. I'm looking at you, Ron. I see there. You probably have had students that went out and got overpriced listings that maybe never even sold during your career, right, Ron?
Yeah, most of them sell because I'm pretty good at getting price reductions. But
Well, I'm,
Um,
I'm talking about students that you have, not you personally, but
oh,
in,
okay,
so
yes,
if a student's not prepared, an easy way to get a listing is to just kind of agree with the seller and take it overpriced, and we call that
yeah,
buying a listing. And
yeah,
if you buy the listing, you know, traditionally the next agent gets to make the sale, right? And
yeah,
all you did was you brought the homeowner down to reality for the next guy to make the win.
yeah. Yeah, we
So
had a class on that the other day too. It was,
getting the appointments, and getting the listing isn't the end game. The end game is getting the right expectations and being prepared for that appointment.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those of us who haven't been in the business for 5 years or longer may not even understand that principle because it's just been an abnormal time in the last 5 years. But before that, you know, we had a fair amount of average agents taking listings that expired. When a listing expires, you put a lot of time in, you spend the same amount of money. As a matter of fact, you probably spend more money and more time and more effort for something that gives you zero pay. And why does that happen? It's because we don't prepare. We don't prepare for the market. We don't prepare for the conversation. We don't prepare ourselves to be the best alternative that can communicate what needs to be done. That's all in that learning process, right? So
Yeah,
go ahead, Ron.
some agents are just afraid to, to rebuttal the sellers when when the sellers tell them, "Oh, this is the price I want." A lot of the agents just give in too soon and they just say, okay, well, that sounds good. That's buying the listing. And I keep telling them that it says, you got to tell them the truth. Be honest with them, show them the facts, show them what's going to happen when they overprice. And then they'll understand later on down the road, the sellers will understand, at least you were honest with them. You gave them the right price to get the listing.
Who would want, Ron, that's a great point. Who would want one of their professionals to tell you a white lie just to make you feel better? Does anybody want anybody that you hire or engage with to tell you little white lies? Or do you want to know the truth? I want to know the truth. I'll just be honest. Anybody want to have it candy coated, sugar coated, softened, or do you want the truth? If anybody wants to have their story candy coated, unmute yourself and tell me. And the
Deliver
only reason,
is very important. How you deliver the news is important, not necessarily candy coating it.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It's meta. Deliverance, the
Netta.
delivery of the message and the communication is important, not necessarily candy coating it, but it is a very fine line.
So there's a proper way to do it. And I would say, Netta, sometimes people accept what would be a misleading outcome because they haven't done their homework. Would you agree with that? In other words, they don't know exactly what the house is worth and the seller is bullying them and they maybe say, okay, we'll list it for your price.
I
And it's
totally
because
agree. Yes.
it's because they don't have strong conviction. They haven't taken the time to understand the market to educate the client. And I'd say 99 out of 100 times, that's not going to be good for the home seller. Because they're probably going to be penalized because the house has been on the market for an extended marketing time. So if we all feel like we want to be, told the truth and told the truth, maybe in a very appropriate way, we don't need to be arrogant or nasty about it. But the truth in an appropriate conversation is a good thing. And the truth will always get us to the better outcome. And if we role play and we know what all the objections are and the challenges, knowing what to say, when and how to say it builds tremendous trust, right? Knowing what to say, when and how to say it builds trust. Saying, hey, Gary Greenacre, you could trust me. What does that do? That pushes away trust, right?
You got to deliver the facts to them. I mean, that's basically what it is.
You have to be the person that you'd want to hire and you have to be honest about it. The second thing I believe that will give us a growing business despite the market, okay? And this will be, you know, good market, bad market, is live by your calendar and commit to income producing activities. Okay, I'm around a lot of agents within the company and outside of our company, and I would say that most agents spend less than 20% of their time dedicated to income producing, prospecting, business generating activities. Most of us live in the servicing the business or in the pontification world or the space. You know, you come to work, whether that's at the office or in your office or your kitchen table, and a lot of times you're thinking, what do I need to do? What's the first thing that most of us do?
Waste
Come
time.
on. Well, and you know, maybe we have a habit of going to our email, right?
Facebook.
Or we go to Facebook, or we get sidetracked, right? I was actually on a Discord listening to some prospectors, and this had a major impact on me. They said that this small group of agents that were 3 hour a day prospectors plus a half hour before they prospected, what they did was they got a different phone for prospecting. I'm like, why the hell would they do that? And there were no apps on the phone. There were no distractions, not even email. So they took their phone with all the 192 apps and they put it on the side. They took the second line that they bought for $10 a month, which has no apps on it, and all it was a phone. So they had no distractions. Now, I think that's pretty cool. I think most of us can probably avoid the distractions, but I think it's a tremendous statement because how many of us get distracted when something pops up, a notification? I do,
Everybody.
right? So if you live by your calendar, you decide what time you're going to dedicate to income producing activities, and also you understand what income producing activities are. An income producing activity is not even negotiating a contract. That's not an income producing activity. That's a servicing activity. It's going to help you generate your commission. But it's not the it that generates the money. Okay. The it that generates the money is having more conversations with people that may have a need to buy or sell the business we're in. Right. And you know why prospecting works and keeping in touch with your client base really works is because on average, 1 out of 20 people are going to be doing a real estate transaction in the next 6 to 12 months. And probably 5 out of 20 know somebody or can refer you a transaction in the next 6 to 12 months. Right? Maybe it's their brother, their son, maybe they have an estate that they need to sell. You know, there's so many different interactions, intersections with real estate transactions that happen if we're present and we're known. I want to introduce somebody on the call who's new to our company. We have Alex Burns, who he sold me. He's going to come help us build up Florida, but he sold me on his commitment to prospecting. And Alex, can you tell us a little bit about what your day looks like and what your results are?
Yeah, welcome. Thank you so much, Rob, and I'm excited to be a part of the Remax Select group. So see lots of people on the call today. Would love to chat with you.
Tell us where you're from and why you're affiliating with Select Group.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I'll give the short version. I'm from Victoria, Canada. I'm on the West Coast, looking to run to the south. Obviously, it's a lifestyle, family, big decision, but we're looking to do some remote work in both countries. I currently have a Remax Pinnacle team right now in the West Coast, and I'm pretty experienced with systems and marketing and prospecting. And you know,
Pinnacle team means $2 million or more in GCI. All right, just so everybody knows, it's very impressive.
yeah, we got a great group of people. I mean, it's not, I mean, big part of the successful team is the people that you have, and
So at this point, you get to the office at what, like 10 o'clock in the morning, and you don't prospect anymore, right?
no, we start prospecting at 9 and we go till 12.
And is
And
that
if we've got
one or two?
office meetings, we just make up for it in the afternoon.
Is that 1 or 2 days a week?
It's 5, maybe 6 days a week now that I'm involved in this company.
So anyway, you know, and how many years you've been doing this?
That'll be my 19th year.
And not only are you a Pinnacle team, but you're also in charge of agent growth, right, for your organization?
Correct.
And how many people did you attract to the company in the past year?
Within the past 18 months, 38 agents, and we're growing. We've added a couple more in the last month. It's been a challenging year for Canada, and it seems like it's a similar market everywhere in North America. So we've been focusing a great deal on the agents we do have, and you know, giving them the skills and tools they need to be, you know, top producers, which is the Remax way. So that's been our big focus.
Okay, and anyway, I just wanted you to see, like, there's a real live example of somebody who's, you know, committed to that schedule, and that it provides a result. And maybe the numbers starts with an hour or 90 minutes of dedicated time, but it has to start if
Absolutely.
it has to start if you want to move the needle, right?
I would definitely say it works out to being 90 minutes of time when you have inbound calls and you get the distractions. I don't have a secondary device, which I think is a great idea. So, you know, I block that time in, and it's because that's when I have the most energy and enthusiasm. I find prospecting is something you need to do in the beginning of your day, because the day can get a hold of itself. And then eventually when you get back from all of the appointments that you did in the morning and activities and family and all the things that we have to do, we always push prospecting to the next day. And so if you don't make it a priority in the morning, I find it just doesn't happen.
I agree with you there, and well, hey, welcome, and welcome to our great country, and we hope to see you here, and I hope you rub off on some. I also had the you know, the pleasure, and these meetings come from, you know, my, you know, own learning and my spending time with others, and I had the benefit of driving back and forth to Baltimore with Karma, who never really misses any of these events. And Karma, how often do you prospect? You're on mute. Karma, you're on mute.
Okay, I used to prospect every day from 7 until 8:30. But actually I am going to change the time from 9 to 12, because I felt at that time before it was working for me perfect. So now I have to find a new way to actually get me more, I should say, more meeting with people. Well, a lot of people did not answer the phone call, so I need to switch to 9 to 12 as Alex. I'm trying your way, Alex, this time.
And Karma, you know, is a platinum agent year in and year out, if not higher. Known her for many years, and still as dedicated to the prospecting as when you started the business, if not more. And, you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Karma, did you gain anything from meeting other top producers at the event?
Wow, the word is wow. I have actually, in every question that I have in mind, it was answered at that meeting. The people were very generous in their advice. The bond that we had at this time was, you cannot replace it. It is really, I'm glad that we have the chance to go.
right? So,
And it
so,
really, it give me the extra push that I have to go actually to change what I need to change.
yeah. So anyway, Karma, I was inspired by driving back and forth and just listening to how dedicated you are
Thank
to
you.
your craft and the consistency, and there's no surprise at how you're so successful.
Thank you so
So,
much. I wanted to share something with the group. I have the privilege to interview Mr. Lazar during our actually trip.
thank you. Thank you.
And that was really, I was looking forward to actually for that interview. And there is one word that he said, which is absolutely true, which is I said, we love you, but I can feel the love other people for you. And he said, I have one word. I said, the secret. He said, I care. Thank you. I can see it
Oh.
everywhere.
Oh, that is true. And, thank you for, sharing with me your time.
You know,
Rob,
Rob,
I've got a
if I could
question.
just,
This
if I
is
could just
Howard.
comment briefly, when I started in real estate, made sure that I was in the office every day, and I befriended and hung out with the top producers in the office. And I watched them and I learned from them. And so it's not, it's the top agents who went to your conference, which is terrific. But for the agents who are looking to build to get to that level, it's great to be able to interact with the top agents in your office, and just, watch what they do. Listen to what they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about something that's going to be a listing that you absolutely need for one of your clients. It's a great opportunity to learn, and it really doesn't cost anything. Um, and I just found that to be the key to what led to the successes that I had.
Robert, thank you for sharing that. And, I know a couple of people, unmuted, but I wanted to just, say something about, the culture that I see here. And anybody on this call, I would bet my last dollar if you called anybody else on this call and said, hey, Amy, I was inspired by your story. Can you just tell me a little bit about how you did it? That we would pick up the phone, we would call them back, we'd go out of our way to give them explicit details into how we succeeded. I don't know anybody that's in this company that wouldn't be doing that. And to me, that's what culture is. I feel, blessed by it. But I think like attracts like, right? And the people who aren't like us aren't here.
And you don't
If
get
you
that
look,
at every brokerage. You really don't.
yeah. And I'm just looking around everybody on this call. If anybody else called you, you would take time out of your busy day to give them the answer to how you did something. And I thank you for it. And I think it's so powerful because we get so far so much faster by having that culture and that mindset. Okay. And maybe this kind of leads into also, as I fill out these top three things. Living by your calendar and prospecting, um, living by your calendar means that you're doing things consistently that are going to take you to where you need to be. Okay, you wouldn't expect to have tremendous health if you didn't, work out a little bit and eat a little bit better. So your business is not going to be healthy unless you exercise your skills, you invest in getting to be a little bit better or a lot better than your competition. And you also time block, for doing the activities that will get you there. Um, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You need to constantly improve. Okay. And one of the things that I think our business is um, interwoven between our CRM, because that's really the value to our business, right? That's the repeatable aspect to it, because the frustrating aspect of it is, paying Zillow 40% every time you get a lead. The frustrating aspect of it is spending money to get new leads when we have so many, relationships that we built that we haven't harvested. We haven't taken advantage of those. So we really need to clean up our CRM, whatever it is, whether it's a Google spreadsheet, it's KV Core, it's Chime, whatever it is, your spreadsheet, your CRM needs to be clean, and you need to be able to predictably estimate how much business you'll be able to yield from your client base. Okay, and it's not random. Okay, if the market's up 50%, down 30%, I want to be up 50% or I want to be up 80%. Okay. And the reason we do that is because we're doing the activities that will get us there. If you don't keep in touch with your sphere, your CRM, your client database, okay, they're not going to trust you. They're going to feel abandoned. And then you're going to get angry when somebody's, son or somebody lists or buys without you. Okay, but when you're frustrated about that, it's not about them, it's about us. Right? If we lose a transaction, it's rarely because they're bad. It's almost always because we didn't do what we were supposed to do. Okay, and it's hard to have accountability for our actions or inactions. My business coach Wayne talks about integrity is not being, can I trust you, can I not trust you, but his integrity is we do what we say we're going to do. Okay, so if I tell my spouse, I tell my manager, I tell my team member, I'm gonna have 5 contacts, I'm gonna write 10 personal notes, and I'm gonna have 2 client appointments a week, and I completely ignore that. Okay, I might be a guy that you can trust with everything else, but I have no integrity when it comes to my business because I'm not doing what I said I'm going to do. And clients are not going to want to work with people who lack integrity, whether we don't call them back when we say we will, we don't have systems in place. Would you want to work with somebody, if they say, hey, call me back in 3 weeks and we call them back in 5? No, that lacks integrity. If you don't consistently outreach to your sphere and clients, the competition will adopt them. They will no longer be your sphere and clients. Somebody else will own them. Okay? Calls, handwritten letters. The famous Brian Buffini pop buys, right? Is that art lost of actually going by and, saying, hey, I was in the neighborhood, Mr. Garver, I just want to stop by and see how things are. It almost nobody does it anymore. How many times a year do you get a handwritten letter that's a real handwritten letter from somebody? Is it less than 5? Is it less than 3? It might even be 1 or less, right? So if you want to stand out, maybe write 5 handwritten letters a week. Send them to the most important people. Just say, hey, just checking in. I just want to be grateful. Yes, you could send them a text message. You can write on their wall on Facebook. You can send them a private message, but it's not the same. Okay. And from our event in Baltimore, something I talk about a lot is client events. And we talk about business as math. Okay, what's your time worth? And if you got to go drive around and knock on people's doors to see them in person and just check in and let them know that you care, you might be able to get some scale by inviting people over to a client event. Yes, it costs money, but it saves you a lot of time. And that might be something that's worth doing. One of the top teams at our event in Baltimore said that every single transaction they do a client event, like $700. And they said it's a game changer. Okay. And then the piece that brings it all together, is either hire a coach or find an accountability partner. Okay, and I'm gonna suggest an accountability partner for most of us is gonna be just as good as a coach. And it would be helpful to find somebody of a like mindset, right? Because I remember the time that I was most consistent in going to the gym when I got out of college, because I was busy working, I was successful, I had all the reasons not to go, is when I had a buddy of mine that we joined the gym together and we'd go there at 3:30 every day. And I didn't want him to go there and say, "Hey, where's Rob?" Like we worked out together. So that was my accountability partner, and that was, 30 years ago, and it still rings as a experience. I knew that it would have been very easy for me to skip the gym at least half the time if I didn't have somebody I was meeting at the gym as my accountability partner. And the beauty of an accountability partner is it benefits you both. So it's not like it costs anybody anything, right? If Dan Gagnon and I are accountability partners, when I call him every day, we're holding each other accountable. It's a mutual benefit. It's not like you have to pay me or I have to pay you, because we're both getting a benefit from it. And when I have a down day, I'm pulling you up. When you have a down day, or when I have a down day, you're pulling me up. When you have a down day, I'm pulling you up, right? That's the way it works. And that's the
Rob?
benefit of finding an accountability partner. Yes, Ron.
I'm starting my 90-day accountability program, which gives tasks to agents who attend. It's once a week, it's virtually. So it's usually going to be on a Thursday. And they have a task of items that they need to do: open houses, cold calling, calling expireds, FISBOs. And it's once a week if you for 12 weeks. And if they accomplish that, they get a diploma at the end. But it's a 90-day program, which I hold them accountable every week, on every Thursday.
And I just want to add to that, when I was managing in New Jersey, there were agents in my office who were part of Ron's 90-day program. And it was like nothing else was important that day. They just knew that they had to be there for Ron's class.
We give them tasks, that they have to do. And every Thursday we look at what they did on the sheet that they're given. And if they haven't accomplished that, then they're held accountable for it.
But look, this meeting is because it's not as hard as it seems to be. There is so much noise and distraction, in our world, on our phone, everywhere, right? I mean, you can be distracted by, oh, it's the Fed meeting, it's the election, it's the this, it's the that, right? And then once that's done, then it's going to be about this, that, the other thing. The one thing I will tell you is, I am not concerned about Alex Burns making his calls, because it's a habit. It's like an atomic habit. At this point, Alex, how much do you have to think about what you're going to do every day? Is it pretty zero?
It's I have a goal. Like if I don't make it specific, I didn't accomplish anything. I'd like to get on 5 good conversations a day, just 5. And that's like getting someone to Facebook into, actually taking a phone call. So there's a process of prospecting where you may not have all their information. So you're gathering it, you're getting their file ready, you're logging your notes into your CRM. You're looking back at the last conversation you may have had, so you have a reference that you can bring up in the conversation that'll help kind of bring that bridge together. And so it's not complicated, like you're saying, Rob. It's just putting in the effort and just getting into a routine. And it doesn't have to be in front of a desk. You could be in your car. You can take 2 or 3 of those calls in the car, and mission accomplished. Move on to your day and get some business done.
It's magical, but it's not rocket science. And if you if you're sold on yourself, okay, if you're sold on what you can do to help people, all right, I want you to understand that not only do you have a financial incentive to do the right thing, but you have a moral obligation to help people. And I know it might sound a little bit like off the wall, but think about how many people that you could help and change their lives by getting them into a house. And Abe, you could get people out of a discount brokerage and see them triple their business because they're affiliated with Remax. I mean, like we have so many things that we can do to help people, right? And it all starts with, having a higher cause of helping people. And, you have to be educated, right? You have to commit to learning, you have to do the practicing, and then you have to be held accountable. Those are the three things. And it doesn't matter what the market does, you can grow in every single market. When we had the abundant foreclosures, I don't know if Howard's somewhere where you can talk, but Howard, you were championing with Dave Liniger, the CDPE, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So,
And we don't ever want to see those days again, right?
we'll hope not, but I mean, you pivoted, right? Everybody was panicking. There were short sales, and Dave Liniger, through his boots on the ground brokers and leaders like Howard, had said, look, let's encourage everybody to get an advanced designation so we can be the best agents to unlock the market and get these properties selling, correct? Because
Correct.
it was uglier then on the surface than it's ever been here, right, Howard?
Yeah, it was really beyond belief for anybody that wasn't in the business at that time. We sure don't want to go back to those days. It was pretty miserable, but it saved our company, and it actually saved Remax to have that affiliation. So,
And I wasn't as close to you back then, but I'll bet you never thought about closing the brokerage because the market shifted, did you?
no, I really didn't. It's interesting. Over the years, we seem to make money in good times and bad. And so the one thing that held true during those times is that, even at $100,000, there was a sale price that had previously been $350,000. The agent still got paid something, and it was ugly work, but we pivoted, and that whole affiliation actually ended up with over 7,000 CDPEs just in Arizona. It saved Arizona by bringing in CDPE to the marketplace. Pretty interesting.
Right. So sometimes something that seems to be really horrific, Howard, is really an opportunity in disguise, right?
Yeah, I agree. I say I have a saying that says realtors are like doctors. We get paid even if the patient dies. So even if unfortunately, even if our client is not going to make a profit on their home, we will still get paid if we do the work. But yeah, realtors are like doctors. We get paid even if the patient dies. I have a question for Alex. So Alex, who do you use as a coach? It sounds like you might be a Mike Ferry protege. Is he somebody you follow?
Yes, I do. We do have some Buffini in our office as well. Personally, I like a bit more of an edgy, like hard ass kind of coach. So I'm a big fan of John Cheplack. I'm in that kind of mindset of growing teams and scaling and building systems and leveraging time so I can do other things. And so, yeah, but I'm always learning. I'm always trying to develop. And I feel like even if we're not always going to hit home runs, as long as we're always looking for the next thing to add to our basics, I think that's a good thing for the customer. but we should always be doing our 3 hours a day of prospecting. And it's this thing. This thing is like every other tool, every other system does not compare to this. This is the best tool in the world. You'll never need anything else. If you just had this, you can make $500,000 a year, no problem. You just gotta pick it up. So if you need help with that, I can help you with that.
I didn't realize that Cheflek was more of a hard ass than Mike Ferry.
Well, I'm talking about agent growth, but yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to give everybody, because I think, you know, Howard, maybe Alex, Howard and I, and probably Alex and many of you have gone to events, and you come back with like a bazillion things that you want to execute on, and what do you normally get done? Who wants to tell me? Is it usually zero, right? Usually you have 9 things you want to do, you get none done. I'm going to ask everybody to do one thing, which is to find an accountability partner in your office, in your life, on this call, okay? And just say, hey, you know, if you're doing 0 dedicated prospecting time, let's do 5 hours a week. Whether it's 2.5 hours twice a week, whether it's an hour a day, and you hold yourself accountable. You hold yourself to a standard. Okay, so don't have this hour wasted. You know, look around this call, find somebody, even if they're in a different state, that's even better, right? Wouldn't it be great to have an accountability partner, you know, if you're in New Jersey with somebody in Florida? Because who's going to be your referral source on top of holding you accountable? And one of the amazing things that happens when we have these in-person events is, you know, people are like, oh my God, I see you on the calls all the time, but it's so great to meet you. And I'm like looking at Lynn Freeman, like, wasn't it amazing to see people that you see on the Hollywood squares in person? And you're on mute, Lynn.
I'd say somebody
Absolutely.
in the
Can you
room
hear me
ought to-
now?
I'm sorry.
It was amazing. I just was just to be around that group of people. You could feel the energy coming off of them and them willing to share, and it really lifted me. I felt, you know, I'm running with the lions, you know. I mean, it was really intense. It got me powered up, excited about working, excited about prospecting, just kind of just gave me a jump start that I needed. So I'm going for it. And I agree with you. I was with Remax back in 2007 and 2008, and I killed it. You know, I just didn't pay any attention to what anybody else had to say, how bad the market was. And I said, I knew that I could get homes sold. I just had to keep on going out and keep working and never giving up. So I feel fortunate to having met so many colleagues in New Jersey, in Arizona, in Maryland. I spent time with Rob, get to know him better. Karma was a great person to be talking to, you know, going back and forth in the van, going out to dinner together. It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. I think I just got kicked off. Rob.
No, you're still here.
I'm still here. I'm just getting a telephone call. Yeah, I apologize. So anyway,
Can I say something?
it was
Can I say
good.
something? Can I
Yes.
say something?
Go ahead, Abe.
What I'd like to say is the following. We create our own magic. And remember, the magic is within us to use effectively.
Yep, and you know, another thing I feel when I'm around this group is, and Lynn, I think when you figured it out in 2007 and 8, you know, part of that was for your own financial survival, but another part of it was, you know, you want to try to help your clients, you know, get out of whatever situation that they were in, right? And they look to you, and you don't want to go like this. I have no idea what to do. I've never seen this before. Is not a really good response, is it, Lynn?
Not at all. I always found a way to get the house sold. If it was short sale, I found a way to get it sold. There was a way to get it done. I found a way to get it done. I'm pretty resourceful and I'm relentless and I never give up. So that helped me and it will continue to help me. The Remax name is quite important. I work on an avenue of 6 other brokerage And people come to my office because of the Remax name. They know us, they know what to expect from the agents, and they feel comfortable and they're confident that we're going to get the job done. So I'm all for the brand. I've been with it now, what, close to 24 years.
So please do this one thing, find an accountability partner, okay, so that you can help them, help yourself, lift each other up, hold each other accountable. One of the differences between the most successful people in the business and the average people and the people who aren't in the business in 3 years from now is, here's a dirty little secret. We all have days that we don't feel like getting up and getting on the phone and making the calls and going through the routine. But the successful people, they just do it anyway. Okay, we all have times we don't feel like doing it. The successful people do it despite the fact they don't feel like doing it because it's built into their routine. It's like, I don't not do it. Okay, and I want to see you get to that point. I want to do that not for my own motives, but it's because I care about you. I want to see you have access to be successful. You have a tremendous peer group that are around you, and on top of that, Lynn, you have to find somebody that's up in New Jersey or somebody who's out of the area that's going to give you referrals, that's going to give you a new friend, introduce you to a new market, right? And
Absolutely correct.
everybody should be doing this. And you met some people, maybe it's going to be karma. I don't know who it's going to be, but let's create those accountability partnerships. Let's create those relationships with people who have the similar mindset, who are going to push you when you don't feel like you want to do it. You're going to touch base twice a week, every day. One of my inspirations is Joe Garcia, who Maryland. He's in the office at 7:30 every day on his Discord, right? Marilyn, you have to unmute yourself. Marilyn, you're still muted. Anyway, so while she's unmuting, he's in there every day at 7:30.
I'm sorry, Rob. I had someone in the office with me. What was that?
I
Can you hear
said,
me? Yeah.
I said, isn't Joe Garcia like contagious? And because he gets
Yes.
in, so he's in before the admin.
He is.
He's on with his group of people doing role playing beforehand.
Yes.
They have a Discord live when they're making their calls, so they can all see each other making the calls.
Yes.
That's an elevated level of accountability. And
Yeah.
what he lacks in experience, he makes up in discipline and willingness to
Yes.
learn and try new things. And I will tell you, some of the experienced
He's
people
very
in the office,
dedicated. Very dedicated.
yeah. So let's steal a page from Joe Garcia and let's find an accountability partner. If you're a manager and you see your agents on here, Marilyn, look for the agents. I see Tony's on. Look for agents in your office, and then reach out to them and see if they've created an accountability relationship, because that's really going to move the needle. Really going to move the needle big time. Does anybody have any closing comments or questions before we wrap up for today?
Well, we were talking about doing client events, and how costly they might be. And I just want to say that what I used to do that seemed to work really nicely was I'd have like 5 clients come to my house and we'd have a small cocktail party and they'd talk amongst themselves, and then they would go out and spread the word around town. And I would get feedback back from people who said, hey, I spoke to so and so and they really were happy with the job you did for them. Can we talk? I mean, so you create a web of people who are out there looking for business for you.
It's
And it doesn't
infectious.
cost that much.
Yeah,
I was at an event yesterday, and the gal that's pretty successful across the country said she has an 8-at-8 event, and she invites 3 other clients, couples, to her home with her and her husband at 8 o'clock some evening. And she has clients that don't know each other but have like-minded events or travels or something that keeps them, that would cause them to be relatable. And she gets them all together at a dinner at her house, and seems to be a real successful thing. She does it quite often.
And Tomasa, you're from Scottsdale?
Correct.
So why don't, welcome and thanks for chatting up for Scottsdale. I will just close with this and say, you know, so many of us are willing to pay big referral fees to third parties for Zillow or listing referrals, and we're all like, well, yeah, that's found money. But if you just invested a small fraction of that in strengthening the relationships that you have, okay, it's going to pay huge, massive dividends. It just requires a little bit of effort and work. Okay, I see Tony. I mean, perfect example. Matt Sora did that great event for us at the Paper Mill Playhouse, right?
Yes,
He,
yes.
he got all of his supporters in one room and provided a great event. Now, are you more likely to give him a transaction?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's steal a page from
And
our partners. Go ahead.
okay, and one other thing that my suggestion is Thanksgiving, I go to Delicious Orchards and I buy pies and I deliver them to past clients, current clients, and it's really made a difference over the years. So something as small as that, you're making a financial, you know, you're spending a little money, but it's just definitely worth it.
And Tony, I think people, you know, yeah, it's nice that you drop off a pie, but people really feel like you haven't abandoned them. That's even more important.
True.
Because because I don't care how much inflation there is, everybody can afford a pie,
True.
but it's hard to get somebody to knock on your door and say, I'm just checking in to see how you're doing and I care about you.
Absolutely.
So that's the real story. And we're a minute over time.
Rob,
yeah,
Dan Gonin he's got a comment for you. Dan from
go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Howard. Rob, is it okay? Couple minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first of all, my name is Dan Gonin. I'm with Remax Excalibur in Scottsdale for many, many years. Been with Howard and appreciate our friendship and meet everybody. Just want to mention one thing. Scottsdale is, I don't know if many of you been here, but we're a huge destination, especially in this season. So we expect like millions and millions of people to be here in the next few months to enjoy the great weather, golf, but going to be a lot of events in town and going to be a lot of people in town. And as much as I hate Zoom, I would love to kind of meet people in person. So if you happen to put on your calendar sometime in Arizona, look me up. You know, I'm very service oriented. I'll even pick you up from the airport and we'll grab something to eat. So just that we can meet face to face. I think it's a good opportunity for people to meet each other, especially for those of you that live in horrible weather, winters. You know, it's really time to come here, defrost, especially like people from Canada. Like I think Alex know what I'm talking about, even though he lives in Victoria, it's still snowing there. You know, I definitely would like to get to meet each one of you in person. So yeah, come here this winter. Going to be the Phoenix Open, the Arabian Horse Show, then the Bear Jackson, and then there's going to be like baseball, the spring training, and plenty of other events and a lot of party opportunities. So keep in touch and have a good day. Thanks, Rob, for putting this together.
Hey, Dan, thanks for commenting. Everybody, you have a fantastic weekend, and don't forget your one thing, get your accountability partner lined up, all right? All right, I care about you all. Let's get this done, and next week, let's have some accountability. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.